All right, everybody, welcome back. So I wanted to do a video on this knife in particular because I've had one in the past and this is my second time owning one. And before I get into the specs of this knife, which it's kind of, you can already see it on the box right there. All right, go ahead and pause the video if you need to see that. But this knife has been out for a while now. It's been out for a few years. The first one I owned of this Luzon, there's the same thing, the medium Luzon. I had never owned a large one. I've kind of wanted one, but I've seen how the build quality of it is also just as bad. I'm not impressed by this. I really think Cold Steel did a good job at making this aesthetically pleasing, but I also think that the quality of it could have been made way better. I'm trying to word this the best that I can without coming off too negative. You guys all know that I am and used to be a really big Cold Steel fan. Way back in the day when Cold Steel first started off, they came out with a lot of good stuff, but the price tag was a bit steep on a lot of their newer stuff. Well, I should say older stuff, sorry. Newer stuff back when it was new to me. Older stuff to you guys now. And I understand that this is a budget knife. This is a knife that is aimed towards people who don't want to spend that really high dollar sign. And I get it. I completely get it. If you don't want to spend over $50 or even over $40 on a knife, then this is something that you want to take good consideration towards, because this isn't going to break the bank. This isn't going to cost you a lot of money, and it's not going to make you feel bad in the very end, because I know what it's like to spend, a higher than expected price tag, carrying it around in your pocket in fear of either, messing it up or losing it or having it get stolen. I'm sure that those are all thoughts that go through everybody's mind, or at least it's in the back of your mind. And you want to have something that is easy to replace, is not going to cost you that much money, and you're not going to be hurting too bad if something were to happen to it, and you also want it to look good. You want it to look good and function fine. I get that, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Some people love this knife. I'm one of the people that's just on the fence. I don't love it, and I really don't hate it. I don't like it, but I don't love it. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyways, Cold Steel Luzon. This is the medium size. There's the warranty information. This is just an empty box, all right? I have the knife right here. The first one that I owned, the major problem that I had with this knife is when I looked at it from this angle, from the spine of the handle down to the spine of the blade. The first one that I owned showed that the blade was kind of uncentered. It was like that way. And it bothered the hell out of me. So I thought, it's a pivot problem. Tighten the pivot. It still looked like trash. It still had that it wanted to hug that side, that right side. And that bothered me even more, knowing that I couldn't do anything to fix it. So I did the whole method where you put a piece of cardboard, you wedge a piece of cardboard or something in there while the blade's closed, and then you try to play with the pivot a little bit so that way it could slightly bend or kind of conform to a straighter path. And it just didn't work for me whatsoever. It was bothering me. Not only that, there's a few things that bother me about this knife. Now, before I get into the, my own specs, doing the whole weight and the measurement and all that good and happy junk, I'm going to give you guys my personal opinion on this knife and other Cold Steels that might be around the cheaper budget range. Now, I'm not saying that all Cold Steel knives are bad. The cheaper stuff, because they do have a lot of good knives. They really do, that are. I know the Range Boss, I really, really like that knife. I really do. Of course, you get what you pay for. The quality of it is going to reflect the dollar sign that follows that. So, keep that in mind, that you do get what you pay for. But this in particular, the thing that bothers me about this knife is the blade steel and, of course, the pocket clip. Now, the one major thing that bothers me about this entire knife overall is the pocket clip. I don't know why Cold Steel chose to make plastic pocket clips for their Luzon. Let me reword this to be just a little bit more respectful. If they made a better version of this knife, G10 instead of this plastic stuff, and maybe even like an S35 VN steel, or even an AUS 8 better than this 8CR MOV junk, and a metal pocket clip that has like their Cold Steel stamp and their cocky logo like they used to have, I would really want to buy that knife. This, to me, is a waste of money. This feels, to me, it looks like a Cold Steel knife. This looks like a Cold Steel knife. Aside from the Cold Steel logo that you see on the blade, this is a Cold Steel knife, sure. When you have it in your hand, at least this is my opinion, you guys entitled to yours, it feels like a damn gas station knife. And I hate to say that, those words coming out of my mouth are filmy. I don't like that. That makes me, I don't like that coming out of my mouth. But the fact that that's how it makes me feel makes me not want this knife. I'm actually going to give this knife away to somebody in my family, simply because I'm tired of looking at it. I'm tired of carrying it. I just don't like how blocky it is, because when it sits in your pocket, you have a lot of that sticking out. You have about that much sticking out of your pocket. And then you got this big old boxy, bulky pocket clip that just sticks out. And of course, you can get this replaced. I heard that if it breaks or it snaps or something, you can get it replaced. That's fine. All right, cool. And of course, for whatever reason, you have this lock bar, this extra lock bar here that turns this knife into a fixed blade, so you can't unlock the blade. That's fine. I guess, woohoo, cool. I don't know. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. Now, I know you guys are going to be like, wow, that's a really smooth opening. I made it that way. When I first got this knife, it was very gritty out of the box. Like, I could barely... Yeah, that's probably the perfect way to do that. When I did that, I felt that there was something in the pivot, or something in there in the moving mechanism where it stops the blade, because there's also not just this pin that helps as a stopping thing, for this to go back that way. There's this little thing that rides on this channel, and I felt like there was something gritty in that channel. This was just very poorly executed, especially, right out of the box. And no, I didn't get it on Amazon. I ended up getting it from like Blade HQ or something. And even then, there was still just wherever this comes from, whatever factory it comes from, a lot of people don't really seem to give too much of a damn on how these knives leave the factory, I guess. Their quality assurance people, representatives, I don't even know if they even exist, to be honest. Let me just put it this way. You get what you pay for. All right, this is not intended to be an expensive knife. This is intended to be a knife aimed for people who don't have a lot of money to be spending on a big shot $100, $200 Cold Steel knife. It just seems a bit overkill, and I get that. And Cold Steel has come out with their budget knives, so that way those people who still want to have a Cold Steel can still get one without having to pay the Cold Steel price. Totally get that. I get that. But this just feels like a very low quality knife. Yes, it has the Cold Steel logo on there. Yes, it's It looks very aesthetically pleasing. Like I said, if they came out with a better version of this knife, I would totally buy it. I love the look of this knife. I think this looks really, really good. And I say that in the most genuine fashion I can. This knife kind of reminds me of the Tylite. And I have to say that it's kind of like, I don't know, the cousin to the Tylite. I really do like it. I really, really do like the look of it. But when I get it in my hand, it just feels like garbage to me. And I tried to like it. I really did. I tried to like it. But I like it enough to where it looks great. But I don't like it enough to where I want to carry it all the time. Yes, it is a 4-inch blade, and you guys know that I'm not somebody who doesn't like to carry around big knives. I love big knives, but this just does not feel like cold steel quality to me. And it didn't. And this is my second time trying with this knife, and I'm just not impressed. I really am not. Now, of course, the Tylite does have plastic, and it does have a lesser blade steel at one time if you want one. AUS 8, yeah, sure. But I just with this one, it just feels, I don't know. Yes, budget knife, sure. Beater knife, cool. You want this knife? Get it. I'm not trying to make you feel like you shouldn't get it. I've tried. I've tried with this, and I am disappointed. It just sucks. I love the look of it. Like I said, if they came out with a more expensive version of this knife, which Cold Steel, if you're watching or listening, do that. I would love to purchase this knife with a metal pocket clip, G10 handle scales, or even micarta if you guys can do that, and a S35 VN blade, or even something like an AUS 8 would be great, not this 8CR 13 MOV garbage. I would totally get it. I would totally get it, and I would love that knife. I would. But this is, I have a Filipino side to me, and this is supposed to be kind of Filipino inspired because of this being a bamboo handle and the blade. I'm not going to get into any of that. I'm just saying that even my Filipino side thinks this is a laugh. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, let's get into the specs. And I'll talk more about this knife too. When it comes down to me having to explain my personal opinion. You got a 4-inch blade, you got a 9-inch handle. It's not a small knife by any means. All right. Yes, it is a liner lock. Some people don't like liner locks. I don't mind either way. If the lock is good, the lock is good. What the hell? Come on. There we go. That's what I get for doing things, 3.52 ounces. So this thing is pretty light for what it is. So if that means anything to you, then good. To me, I don't care how light or how heavy it is. It just feels like junk. I had to make it this smooth. Like I said, it was really gritty. And, it just hit my... It's not... Like I said, it's not a bad knife. If you're going to use it as a beater knife, or if you're a security guard and you need a little bit of extra protection of a knife that it doesn't, cost you an arm and a leg, then this might be good for you. This would be a great knife if you know that you need a beater knife and you want it to look nice. And also be it a gas station knife, then bam, you got a Cold Steel. I'm trying to sound nice about it. Just the more I do, it just sounds worse. I would use my calipers, but I haven't replaced my batteries on that. I do apologize. I need to remember to buy spare batteries for that damn thing. But I still think that there's a lot of Cold Steel budget knives that are great. Like I said, the Range Boss 2 is really good. Those are also budget knives, something that doesn't really break the bank. It's not a crazy amount that you have to spend on it. And I think that's, That's great. That's fine and all. But when I was carrying this knife and I pulled it out to show somebody, they were like, wow, that knife looks really nice. And I was like, yeah. And I handed it to him, and he goes, oh, why does it feel like that? It doesn't feel all that great. It doesn't feel the way it looks. And that just, it spoke volumes. I was like, dude, I totally get you, man. Like, that's exactly how I feel about this knife. And he handed it back to me with kind of like a smug face. Like he, I'm not going to really get into it, but he was like, oh, what's with the pocket clip, man? That's kind of ugly. I said the same thing. I was like, yeah, I don't like it either. It's got a lanyard hole for you lanyard. I'm sorry. I can't even. I'm not hating on this knife. I actually do. I love the look of it. I really think that this is a very attractive knife. I wish that they could have done better with it. I was fighting myself. I really was. I was fighting myself. I was telling myself I should get the large Luzon. You know, because they have two sizes, the medium and the large. This is the medium, all right, 4-inch blade. The large has got a 5 or 6-inch blade, and the handle is, you know, it's the same plastic material. They come in many different variations as far as colors. You got a black blade. You got that, you know, that coating on there, and then you got the different colored handle scales. So you got the was it tan, OD green, this black one, I think a gray one at one time. I'm not entirely sure, but you know, they have different variations, and of course, you know, they kind of switch it up with the blade steel color coatedness. So you got the black blade steel on OD green, and same thing with the tan. And if you don't want that, they have the regular silver blade with that same color variation that I was listing off. But I wasn't, you know, I'm not. It just disappoints me. It really does. But like I said, I knew going into this what I'm signing up for when you purchase something like this. I'm not going to sit there and purchase a $30 or $40 knife and expect it to be like a $200 knife. That's just silly. What you would do is you would get it and hope that it far exceeds your expectations. And that's something that a lot of people hope for. You don't expect it, you just hope. You know, there's certain times when I'll purchase something and I'm like, wow, this is a really good investment. Like, this is way worth more than what I thought, you know, when you pay for it. It's just the quality of it's way, you know, wow, knocked out of ballpark. I don't feel that way with this. I feel like I kind of broke even with it. You know, I'm not happy with it. I wasn't excited. When I got it, I was kind of excited. I was like, yay, I don't got to worry about messing up my more expensive knives, blurgity blurg. But then, you know, carrying it with this stupid pocket clip, it put a bad taste in my mouth. The pocket clip alone was just something that really bothered the hell out of me. It still does. Plastic pocket clip. Come on, Cold Steel. What the hell? It's okay though. I mean, I'm gonna say goodbye to this knife completely. Like I said, I'm gonna probably give this to my dad. And he appreciates knives like this. I'm sure he'll like it way more and appreciate it way more than I do. It sucks, you know. I really hope they come out with a better version of this knife. Till that day, a man can dream, can he? Anyways, go ahead and slash that like button, stab that subscribe, slice that bell icon so you guys are notified anytime I post new stuff. Just to let you know, if you want to get this knife, do I recommend it? I recommend it if you're looking for a cheap knife that just looks cool, and that's what you know you're aiming for, then do it. It's not a bad knife. It cuts, all right? It does what knives do. It feels durable. There's not very much blade play side to side, but you also got to make sure. There might be like a hair of blade play depending on how loose it gets. The more smoother it, you know, flies open, stuff like that. Um, the plastic pocket clip, if that doesn't bother you, then this will be a perfect knife for you. But for me, this is my second and my last time I'm ever going to try with this particular model, unless they come out with something better. So that's just my take on it. I'm sure there'll be more. There'll be others. You guys will know. Anyways, I'll see you all awesome people in the next one. Oh, be kind, be safe, carry responsibly, please. This day and age, you know what I mean?